Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry for the late review. The Oscars are on. I think they're actually still on right now, but I mean, I am trying to push it, and I got to do it right now. There's a few things I want to talk about in this episode. Pretty good episode, actually. We got to see a lot of Eugene and Dwight, which was really cool. The first thing I want to talk about through this episode, obviously, is Eugene, because I think he played the biggest role in this episode. And I guess the first thing you really do pick up on is Eugene's stay was very different than Daryl's, which is really weird. Like, first of all, he got any food he wanted. He had that huge jar of pickles, whereas Daryl had like dog food sandwiches, which is kind of funny. The one thing I noticed right away too is he actually likes Easy Street. I think he's pretty much the only one who likes Easy Street. And he had a bunch of chicks playing games with him, which was kind of cool. And that's kind of the weird thing about this episode too, is like Eugene, I thought Eugene would actually have more of a I guess in the beginning of the episode, he was acting like how I thought he would act. But it's so weird for me to actually see him like start to warm up towards Negan, start to warm up to these people. And I caught a little bit of the talking dead after the episode was over. And from what it seemed like, you know what, maybe this is what Eugene is actually like. Maybe Eugene is this kind of person. I can't remember the guy who plays Eugene. I think his name is Josh McDermott. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure he said that a lot of people are always saying to him, like, oh, are we going to get a standalone Eugene episode? Or are we going to get a backstory to him and whatnot? And he says, I think this episode was it, but, never say never. And it made me think, Eugene hasn't really had that yet. We don't know his backstory. We got Abraham's backstory. I don't think we got Rosita's yet. Like that's we still might get that. But Eugene's backstory, we didn't get that at all. So it just made me think, like, is Eugene really a bad person? Did this episode shine light on that? Was he just always living with Rick and them because he just did that? I mean, Eugene didn't really help with Rick and them, right? He did, I think he manufactured bullets after a while, but he was pretty useless and for the longest time, and that's kind of why I don't like him as a character. So it made me think, like, is he actually evil? And I'll post a video on this. I'm going to go through it a little bit more, and I'll post my thoughts and all that. I'm going to try to come up with some evidence and etc. And talk with you guys in the comments and stuff like that. I will probably be doing a live stream soon, like later on, pretty much right after this episode, or right after this video airs, sorry. So make sure you guys go and check that out. But Eugene really, really did get his balls back in this episode. Or maybe he's always that way. Like, holy shit, when he just, like, kept taking, I can't remember, I don't know if that woman had a name, but when he just kept taking her shit constantly, he was like, no, I'm gonna take this, and I like this, oh, and this teddy bear, I can't remember the name or what he named him, but or the teddy bear, but he was like, oh, I'm just gonna name him this, but oh, and I want this too, and he like walks away. I feel like they picked the wrong music for that moment. They should have picked some type of like Thug Life music, but whatever. But Eugene's bigger moments in this episode was really that he just started to warm up more towards Negan. He started to really just side with him. He had a really amazing chance to actually possibly kill Negan, and he decided not to. Like, he didn't want to take one for the team. He thought more of for himself. Imagine if Rick and them found that out, what they would be thinking. You had this opportunity to poison Negan, and you decide not to because you thought about yourself and you just wanted to stay there. Like, I understood it for Eugene's sake. Being there, I totally got it. He's scared, blah, blah, this and that. But when you look at the bigger picture, I think that was a stupid decision, especially in the end when he said, I'm Negan. I was like, okay, you know what? I think I'm done with Eugene right now. It's interesting, though, because in the comics, first of all, spoilers for Eugene in the comics, pretty much for the All Out War series, but Eugene in the comics, he actually does get kidnapped, but it is during the All Out War series, and he has a much different stay. Like, he's pretty much just crying the whole entire time, and then Dr. Carson and Dwight save him. Oh, no, sorry, not Dwight. I think Dwight saves him, actually, and they just save him, and then they leave. The funny thing is, though, is Dr. Carson obviously died in this episode. So right there, very different. Immediately, like, very, very different. So that is kind of weird to me. Like, I don't know what they're doing with Eugene's character now. Like, are they going to be killing him off? Will he actually be a savior now? I honestly don't know. I don't really see that being a thing. I think he will just turn. but I don't know. Like, I have a prediction possibly for Eugene in the All Out War series. Like, I don't think he's going back anytime soon. What I think is Eugene may even like manufacture default bullets or faulty bullets, sorry, something like that will end up hurting the Saviors and whatnot. But yeah, let's get to Dwight. He really took a beating in the beginning moments of this episode. It's always really annoying seeing him wearing Daryl's stuff. Like, that's just, oh, it bothers me because I'm like, oh, fuck, I want him to be wearing that shit, you know? I loved that cell scene, though. I don't know who was directing tonight's episode, but I just loved that shot, that continuous shot of just focusing on Dwight while Negan was behind the door talking. And it just felt so personal, you know what I mean? I don't know, I love that scene. We actually got to see Dwight's home as well, which was really cool. He had a pretty nice home, and it's really funny because, like, you actually get to see the human side to Dwight. Like, he was kind of normal before the apocalypse began, so it's interesting. Like, a lot of these people, they really are they were just normal people. I can't really think of anybody, actually, any characters that we've met on this show that haven't really been normal. It's possible so far Negan wasn't normal before the apocalypse, although if they do follow the Here's Negan series, I mean, you do find out that he was sort of normal. Negan's Negan, but he was more normal than what he was. And on that, he was really amazing in this episode. And the one thing I noticed, though, is that he is more terrifying the less he's in the show. And I honestly don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if having Negan gone is a good thing for the show or having him like in the show constantly is a good thing. I haven't made up my mind on that. A lot of people were complaining about the first half of season 7 being too much Negan or too Negan focused. Like everybody's complaint about that was that every single time Negan was ever in a scene, he almost just brought this depressed mood or this depressed tone to the show. And I think what their complaint is really like, you have Negan, this crazy, just murderous character, and if he's always there, it really just brings everybody down. And I think his villainous acts kind of suffer for it, because whenever he's threatening somebody afterwards, we don't give a shit. Notice how lately, or especially this episode anyways, like when he threw Dr. Carson in the fire, it was like, holy shit. At the end of the episode, when Eugene opened the door and Negan was standing there, it was like, holy shit, that's Negan. Like, that's what I'm talking about. So, I mean, I can see their point on that. The less Negan's in the show, technically, it's better. I'm not complaining. I love Negan. Whenever Negan's in an episode, I love it. I just love it. But I do get their point. But I want to go back to Dwight for a second, because I forgot to talk about a few things. Sherry's goodbye is really confusing for me, because I don't really know where she's going. I'm pretty confident that she will pop up eventually. But we did learn that Sherry was the person to let Daryl go, not Jesus, which kind of shocked me because I always thought it was Jesus. It made the most sense. He was there. What was Jesus even doing there then? I don't get that. Maybe Jesus ran into Sherry. Maybe Jesus knows where Sherry is. Maybe Jesus went to get Sherry at Dwight's home, and then that she went there. But let's get to the Easter eggs in this episode. There was actually a few. I try to do Easter eggs in each episode, but there really isn't a lot. I didn't notice the one everyone's talking about with that alien thing and whatever in the episode or last week's episode. But in this week's episode, if you notice, the cigarettes that Dwight's smoking actually say Morley on them, which is, I don't know if you know or not, you X-Files fans would know, Morley is famous in X-Files. So I'm kind of wondering, are they connected at all? I mean, remember that airplane or UFO in the last episode? I mean, maybe there's a connection there. You never know. That would be insane. The Walking Dead is like post-apocalyptic after the aliens took over and planted this ship, blah, blah, blah. Someone's going to come up with a theory about it. I bet you that. I mean, Eugene was playing Yar's Revenge on Atari 2600 or whatever, I think. So maybe they're hinting at that. Maybe they're hinting at the possibility of the aliens creating this virus. I'm not too sure. But that's what I think about this episode. I'm sorry that this video wasn't completely constructed properly. I just really wanted to get my thoughts out, just unscripted and etc. But make sure you guys post down below with what you think. Do you think Eugene is going to be betraying Rick? Do you think he will actually become a savior? And what about Dwight? Do you think he will be betraying Negan? Sign up below. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.